This tutorial details the EOB reconciliation process, also known as applying an EOB. The learning objectives for this tutorial are: create an EOB in the system, use the line-by-line reconciliation process, and close the EOB and automatically create invoices for the patient portions. From the Business tab, scroll to the bottom of the screen to find the EOB section. Notice the Add EOB link here. Select the Add EOB link. This will bring you to the Explanation of Benefits creation screen, which prompts you to enter the billing provider. For example, I'll search for Dr. Stone and add him to the EOB. This information can be gathered from the EOB itself. If your practice bills as a group, remember to select your practice as the billing provider. You must search and select your practice name. Hint: the billing provider is in box 33 on the patient's HCFA. You may also add multiple providers to a single EOB if required. And add the payer or payers' names. This information can be gathered from the EOB as well. Hint: some payers will have several different names for the same company. Try to utilize only one of the specific insurance company choices in our system. For example, if you have two different patients with two different types of Aetna cards, you will choose the same Aetna in the system, and just change the address if necessary. The reason for the different insurance company choices in the system is an old internal issue. Ideally, there should be only one of each to choose from. As can be seen in this sample EOB, the EOB will tell you who it was billed under and the payer's name. In our case, the billing provider is Dr. Stone, and the insurance company is Blue Cross Blue Shield of Texas. After the appropriate information is filled out, click Create EOB. We have now officially created an EOB. After this point, you are able to search for your EOB in the system, should you decide to save and finish later, through the Open EOB work list located at the bottom of the Business tab here. Upon creation of the EOB, you are taken to the EOB reconciliation screen automatically. Just like a piece of paper, start at the top left and fill out the control information. The control information is generally found on the EOB itself. You'll find the check number and check amount. Starting with the document date, enter in today's date for the document date, which the system actually defaults to. This will make it easier to locate later as needed. Enter the date on which the check was deposited, if utilizing this information in a report, such as a daily deposit report. If not utilizing this report feature, then we suggest use the same date for the document and deposit date. Next, enter the check number. For our example, we will enter VU2335898. Finally, enter the check amount, $74, and click Save Changes. You will notice that the Bill Services and Close EOB button appeared. This is a protection feature to help avoiding closure of the EOB without any claims attached. You will notice that the billing provider and the payer that you selected in the first screen, the EOB creation screen, are displayed on the top right of the screen and can be modified to encapsulate additional providers and payers should they show up later on subsequent pages of the same EOB. Sometimes the same payer will have different subcompany names included on the same EOB. We are now ready to search for our patients and add dates of service. Look at the EOB received, and you will notice the first patient name on the top left of the itemized date of service portion. Type that patient's name, either the first or the last name, located in the claim search area patient name field. When the patient you want appears below, double check to ensure that the date of service is correct. Select the green plus icon to the left of the patient's name to add the claim to the EOB. Notice the patient's name appears below, with the itemized CPT code or codes that were submitted for that date of service. Using the paper EOB from the insurance company, we are going to document or reconcile that information into our system to be kept on the patient's account. You will notice that some of the columns the insurance company has filled out on the paper EOB are pre-populated on your screen. These columns are service date, units, CPT codes, and submitted amount. The columns you will transcribe from the EOB are charged amount, which is usually the same as the submitted amount, allowed amount, co-pay, co-insurance, the payer portion, what they sent us as part of the check you received, the insurance adjustment, what the insurance company tells you is the difference between what you charged and what the insurance company allows, and write-off amount. What you decide not to charge the patient. Note, always have management approval before writing off any patient portion. If you mouse over the Sum 1 box, it will tell you the formula which is used. Charged is the allowed plus not covered amounts. The two columns, allowed and not covered, have to equal the charged amount box in order for the first part of the EOB to balance. If you mouse over the Sum 2 box, you will notice the formula of allowed is copay plus coinsurance plus payer amounts. The three columns of copay, coinsurance, and payer amount must equal the allowed amount for the second part of the EOB to balance. If the insurance company says a certain amount is allowed, someone has to be responsible for that amount. If it is either going to be the payer themselves or the patient. We are ready to start applying the monies from our paper EOB to the corresponding columns line by line. First, we will start with the charged column. The charged column exists to double check that the amount billed to the insurance company is usually the same as the submitted amount, is in fact what they received and processed. For Jeff Krill's date of service on January 26th, the submitted amount was $45, and the billed charges amount is the same. So we enter 4-5, no need for zeros, in the charge box. To easily move from column to column, just use your Tab key. The next column is allowed amount. Look on the paper EOB under allowed amount, and notice it says $30. The allowed amount is the contracted fee for that particular procedure code between the chiropractor and the insurance company. We will enter 30 under the allowed column. The next column is copay. In our patient's case, he doesn't have a copay. He is, however, responsible for a percentage, which is coinsurance. He is responsible for 10% of the allowed amount, which is $3. We will tab over the copay column and leave it as a zero amount. Moving on the next column, which is coinsurance. We will enter 3 for $3. Please note, if you choose to use the patient write-off column in this EOB screen, be sure to have management approval, as they are responsible for referencing the specific payer contract stipulations. If your intention is to ultimately write off any part of the patient portion, you can either add the amount to the write-off column here, or you may choose to do it later when working on the patient's account. In any case, ensure you have management's approval before writing off any patient portions. The next column is payer amount. The payer amount is the portion the insurance company actually paid. The allowed amount is $30. The coinsurance is $3, so the difference between the two is $27. Enter 27 for payer. You will notice that Sum 1 is red, and the amount shown that doesn't balance is $15. The only column on our paper EOB that hasn't been applied is the provider column. Notice there's an A next to the $15 amount. The EOB note tells us that we are required to adjust this amount. 15 needs to go under our insurance adjustment column. Once the amount is entered, notice that both Sum 1 and Sum 2 are at 0. This line item is ready to be updated. Click the Update button under the patient's last name. The line item will minimize and give you a summary of the monies applied. Now we will apply the second claim for Krill, which is January 29th. Following the same process, select the green plus icon next to the date of service for January 29th. Because the same CPT code was billed on this date of service as the last one, all the amounts paid and adjusted will most likely be the same, unless of course a change of insurance plan went into effect. So I've applied all the same amounts as per the paper EOB, then select the Update button. Applying another patient to the same EOB is just as easy. Our sample paper EOB says our next patient is Sam School, for date of service January 3rd. I have searched for Sam, located the date of service, and will click on the green plus icon next to his name to add the January 3rd claim to the EOB. Notice that Sam had 2 CPT codes billed for his date of service, and one of them wasn't paid. We will be addressing adding denial notes and codes for this patient after we enter in the first procedure that was paid. First, let's start with the submitted amount for the first CPT code 98941. The billed charges are $55. The allowed amount is $40. According to our contract, we must adjust $15. The patient has a copay of $20, and the payer paid $20. After transcribing this information onto our EOB in the system, we can see that the sum boxes match, and we can move on to the second CPT code billed for this claim. You can continue to tab until you reach the next line and enter in the charged amount. In our case, $49.27 was charged for 98943. The allowed amount is $35, which means we will have to adjust $14.27 for this service, the difference between the charged amount and the allowed amount. The patient is responsible for the allowed amount of $35 because his insurance company is stating that he is ineligible, which means you can and should bill the patient for this service. We will enter in the $35 for the allowed amount. $35 co-insurance. Special note, if you do not want to make your patient responsible for this portion, simply enter in $35 under the write-off column and your totals will still match. Ensure you have your management's approval before you do this. Adjust the $14.27. On the far right of our paper EOB, you will see the Reasons and Remarks column. The denial code this payer is using is 21F. At the bottom of the sheet, notice the key that describes the denial code. To record the denial code for this procedure, click on the green plus icon. Enter the code. Tab over and type in the entire description, or a summary of the description given by the insurance company. Patient is not eligible for more than one treatment or service per calendar day. Once the code and description have been entered, click on Add New Code and Use. It will minimize the code and you can easily remove the code from the line item by clicking on the recycle bin next to the code. Follow the same step to create notes for this code, which is extremely useful when resubmitting claims. This is covered in the Claim Resubmission tutorial. The star next to the claim number is for notes on that specific claim, which will follow the claim through the system in any state, and is accessible wherever you can view the claim. Note, the majority of practices actually prefer to use the claim notes over the denial codes functionality area discussed earlier. Also, always remember to date and initial your notes. The final step before we finish this EOB and create invoices for the patient portions is confirming the statuses of the claims. The choices are Reconcile, Close Claim, Appeal Claim, Partial Payment, or Submit to Secondary. Notes: by default, all claims that are added to an EOB are in the status of Reconcile. This means that the claim is currently being worked as part of an EOB. If the EOB is closed and the statuses of the claims are still in Reconcile, those claims will automatically be changed to the status of closed. To signify that you're completely satisfied with a specific claim and no further work needs to be performed on this claim, other than billing the patient portion, if applicable, you can change the status to closed. However, the system will assume that you want the claim closed if you do not specifically place it in the state of partial payment, submit to secondary, or close. Placing a claim in the status of partial payment means that you are expecting to receive further monies for this claim for the same payer on a separate EOB. Selecting Submit to Secondary will only be displayed if the corresponding episode indicates a secondary payer. It tells the system that you are expecting a payment from the secondary payer. This allows you to select the same claim to post in the future when you receive an additional EOB from the secondary payer. In the event that you need to resubmit a claim, mark it as pending appeal. You will be able to make changes on the claim, if necessary, and resubmit it using the Claim Manager in the Business tab. See the follow-on Claim Resubmission tutorial for details. Always remember to put a dated and initialed note on that date of service, the claim note star, to document what you need to do or what you have done to rework a claim that you intend to resubmit. It is time to bill services and close this EOB, which will automatically create invoices for patients owing monies towards their claim. Invoices for write-offs and adjustments will not be created and sent to patients, although the system certainly tracks this information and can be easily accessed from different parts of the system. Always double-check the payer check amount here to ensure it matches the payer amount column listed below. And always double-check the patient portions to ensure patients are not accidentally invoiced for charges that should be written off or adjusted. Once the EOB information is verified correct, we will click on Bill Services and close EOB. To view one of the invoices that you just automatically created, simply click View Invoice under the patient's name, date of service. From within the EOB screen, once created, you need not go back to the Business tab to create your next EOB. Simply click the Add button here at the top of the page to create your next EOB. If you need to leave a partially finished EOB to come back and finish later, You can select the unfinished EOB from the EOB work list located at the bottom of the Business tab. Please watch the next tutorial to learn how to resubmit a claim.